Once upon a time, in a warm land of golden deserts and tall palm trees, there was a young boy named Aladdin who lived in a bustling town where the air was always thick with the scent of spices and the sound of merchants calling out their wares. Though he had little in terms of riches, Aladdin's heart was full of joy and wonder. Aladdin lived with his widowed mother in a modest, sun-baked home at the edge of the town. Their house was filled with warmth, laughter, and the simple joys of life. Every day, Aladdin helped his mother with chores and ran errands for neighbors, earning a few coins or a piece of bread in return. Whether it was carrying water, sweeping stalls, or delivering baskets of dates, he always lent a hand with energy and goodwill. But while Aladdin worked hard each day, his thoughts often drifted to dreams far beyond the dusty streets of his hometown. His dreams were as rich as the finest silks in the marketplace, and he held them close to his heart. Little did Aladdin know that fate had something extraordinary in store for him, an adventure more magical than he had ever imagined. For in the heart of the desert, beyond the dunes and mirages, waited a secret that would change his life forever. The morning sun cast long, golden beams over the village rooftops as Aladdin skipped down the dusty path, but as he rounded a bend near the olive grove, a tall figure stepped into his path. The man was unlike anyone Aladdin had ever seen in the village. He wore deep a turban adorned with a red gem that caught the light. But it was his eyes that truly unsettled Aladdin. They were dark, almost black, and held a glint that felt more calculating than kind. "You must be Aladdin," the man said, his voice smooth like polished stone. "You have your father's eyes." Aladdin blinked. "You knew my father?" "Knew him well," the man replied. "We were dear friends long ago. He spoke of you often before he passed. I've only just returned to these lands and thought I'd find the son of my old companion." Aladdin felt a flush of pride and curiosity. No one ever spoke of his father. "Why are you here?" he asked. "I have a small task, nothing hard. If you help me, I'll give you this." He flicked a gold coin from his sleeve into his palm. It gleamed like a piece of the sun. Aladdin's eyes widened. He had never held gold in his life. He hesitated, then nodded. "Good," said the stranger, his smile now fixed and unreadable. They walked together, leaving the comfort of the village behind. The path grew rockier, the hills steeper, until all signs of life faded into the barren desert. Something about the stranger felt wrong, but it was too late to turn back now. The midday sun scorched the earth as Aladdin followed the stranger across the dusty plain. The man, cloaked in dark robes, stopped abruptly beside a massive, moss-covered rock. He turned to Aladdin, eyes glinting. "Help me move this," he said. Together, they heaved. With a final grunt, the rock shifted aside, revealing a dark hole beneath. A strange, pulsing light shimmered from within. Aladdin peered down. "What is this place?" "A cave," the man said. "But not just any cave. Inside lies a treasure beyond imagining. But listen carefully, go in and bring me only the old lamp you'll find on a pedestal in the center. Touch nothing else. Do you understand?" Aladdin nodded, heart pounding. He lowered himself into the hole, the cool air brushing against his skin as he descended. The light grew brighter, casting golden reflections on the walls. When he reached the bottom, Aladdin gasped. He stood in a vast chamber, its walls encrusted with glittering gems. Piles of gold coins, jeweled crowns, and silken tapestries surrounded him. The air shimmered with magic. At the center of it all sat a plain, dusty lamp on a stone pedestal. It looked completely out of place among the riches. Aladdin stepped forward, mesmerized by the treasures around him. His fingers itched to touch gleaming ruby the size of his fist. But he remembered the stranger's warning and reached for the lamp. The moment his fingers closed around it, the cave seemed to hold its breath. Above, the stranger's voice rang down, sharp and impatient. "Have you got it? Bring it up now." Aladdin hesitated. The tone was different, demanding, desperate. He turned to climb back up, but something in the man's voice made his heart race. He gripped the lamp tighter, his instincts screaming that something wasn't right. Aladdin clutched the magical lamp tightly, refusing to hand it over. He stood at the mouth of the cave, its shadows reaching for him like claws. The man above him, his so-called uncle, snarled. "Give me the lamp," the man barked, his voice losing all warmth. "Not until I'm out of here," Aladdin said, inching backward, wary. The man's eyes darkened, his face twisted with rage. "You ungrateful brat," he roared. Then, with a furious snarl, he raised his hands and slammed them down onto the rock. The ground shuddered. Before Aladdin could react, the entrance to the cave groaned and snapped shut with a deafening boom. Darkness swallowed him whole. Aladdin stood frozen, heart thundering in his chest. "Hello," he called, but only echoes answered. Cold air wrapped around him, and the silence pressed down like a weight. His hands trembled. He sank to the cave floor, hugging the lamp close. "What now?" he whispered. The man wasn't his uncle, he was a liar. And now he was alone, trapped. Something glimmered faintly near his feet. He crawled toward it and picked up a ring, the same one the man had worn. It must have slipped off in the struggle. It looked ordinary, but something about it felt different. He slipped it onto his finger. In an instant, the cave bloomed with swirling pink smoke. It danced around him in bright, glowing patterns, illuminating the walls like firelight. Aladdin stumbled back, shielding his eyes. From the heart of the smoke, a deep, echoing voice rang out. "You called, master?" As Aladdin rubbed the strange, heavy ring he had found in the dark cave, a puff of blue smoke curled up from its surface. The smoke swirled faster, rising in thick coils, until, poof, a towering figure emerged, glowing faintly with an otherworldly light. The being hovered above the ground, arms crossed and eyes glowing like embers. "I am the servant of the ring," the genie declared in a deep, echoing voice. "I serve the one who wears it. You have 3 wishes." Aladdin stumbled backward, eyes wide. "3 wishes," he repeated, breathless. "Okay, then I wish to go home." Without another word, the genie snapped his fingers. In an instant, the cave vanished around Aladdin, replaced by the familiar scent of spices and the dusty warmth of his family's small house. He stood right in the middle of the living room. A crash came from behind him. His mother had dropped her clay pot in shock. "Aladdin," she gasped. "Where did you come from?" "It's a long story," he said, rushing to embrace her. "You won't believe it. There was a cave and a sorcerer, and I found this ring." He held it up, its surface still warm. "And a genie came out." His mother looked at the ring, eyes wide with wonder and fear. "A genie? That's not all," Aladdin added, reaching into his bag. He pulled out the ancient brass lamp, dented but strangely heavy. "There's this too. I think it might be even more powerful." Together, they set the lamp on the table, staring at it in silence. A faint shimmer danced across its surface, as if something inside was waiting. One dusty afternoon, Aladdin rubbed the mysterious lamp once more. This time, something incredible happened. A thunderous whoosh shook the room, and a second genie emerged, even bigger and louder than the first. "You have freed me at last," the genie boomed, stretching his enormous arms. "In return, I grant you 3 wishes." Aladdin and his mother stared in astonishment. She was too stunned to speak. After a pause, Aladdin grinned. "Then for our first wish, we'd like a proper feast." In an instant, a magnificent royal table appeared before them, piled high with golden platters of steaming rice, roasted meats, fragrant spices, and glittering goblets of sweet drinks. They laughed and cried as they ate like royalty for the first time in their lives. For their second wish, Aladdin asked for a new home. The ground trembled, and a beautiful house rose from the earth, complete with marble floors, silk curtains, and courtyards filled with orange blossoms. Their final wish was simple: new clothes, clean and fit for their new life. Silks and velvets of every color appeared, soft as clouds and bright as the sun. Now, they lived in comfort and peace. Yet, despite their riches, Aladdin and his mother never forgot where they came from. They shared their meals with neighbors, helped the poor, and welcomed travelers into their home. Word of their kindness spread across the land. People spoke not just of the magic lamp or the powerful genie, but of the generous heart behind it all. In the end, the lamp's true power wasn't the wishes it granted, but the good they chose to do with them. The sun blazed overhead as the market bustled with life, vendors shouting, spices dancing on the breeze, and children weaving through the crowd. Amid the noise, everything stilled for Aladdin when a sudden hush swept through the street. Guards in shining armor marched ahead, parting the crowd as a grand silver throne, carried by servants, came into view. Sitting atop it was Princess Jasmine. Aladdin stood frozen. She wore a flowing gown that shimmered like the morning sky, and her eyes held a gentle warmth. She smiled and offered coins to a hungry child tugging at her veil, her voice soft and kind. That moment etched itself into Aladdin's heart. He had never seen such grace, such compassion. That evening, back in their humble home, Aladdin couldn't contain his excitement. "Mother," he said, "I saw her today, the Princess Jasmine. I must marry her." His mother blinked, startled. "Marry the princess?" "Aladdin, she lives in a palace. We have barely enough to eat." "I don't care," he said, eyes glowing with determination. "She's not just beautiful, she's kind. I'll find a way." His mother saw the spark in her son's eyes, the kind that no hardship could dim. Though she feared for his heart, she took his hands and smiled. "Then you must be brave, my son, and wise." And so, with dreams brighter than gold, Aladdin's heart set course toward destiny, guided by a glimpse and driven by hope. With the genie's help, Aladdin sent a lavish chest filled with glittering gold to the Sultan, a token of his desire to marry the princess. The Sultan, surprised by the opulent gift, was impressed but not easily swayed. "If your son truly wishes to marry my daughter," the Sultan declared, stroking his beard thoughtfully, "let him prove his worth. Send me 40 servants, each bearing a chest of jewels more dazzling than the last, and 40 guards to protect them. Only then will I consider his proposal." When Aladdin's mother returned home with the Sultan's challenge, her heart sank. "How can we fulfill such an impossible demand?" she whispered, wringing her hands. But Aladdin remained calm. He reached for the magic lamp and gave it a firm rub. In a burst of swirling smoke, the mighty genie appeared, his voice echoing with power. "What is your wish, my master?" Aladdin stood tall. "Genie, I need 40 servants, each carrying a chest overflowing with the finest jewels. And I need 40 guards, strong, noble, and richly dressed, to protect them. They must leave at once for the Sultan's palace." The genie bowed. "Your wish is my command." In moments, the quiet streets outside Aladdin's home came alive with a grand procession. The servants wore silken robes and carried jewel-studded chests that sparkled like stars. The guards, clad in shining armor and bearing golden spears, marched in formation with solemn pride. As the magnificent parade wound its way to the palace gates, the townspeople watched in awe. The Sultan, seeing the splendor and precision of the entourage, gasped in astonishment. "Perhaps," he murmured, eyes wide, "this Aladdin is no ordinary suitor after all." And so, the road to the royal heart opened just a little wider. The very next morning, Aladdin summoned the genie of the lamp and commanded him to prepare for the royal wedding. In the blink of an eye, 40 elegant servants stood ready, their silken garments shimmering like stars. Chests overflowed with gold, jewels, and silvery coins, and a procession of fierce guards lined the palace gates. The grandeur astonished the Sultan, who had never witnessed such splendor. Convinced of Aladdin's worth, he joyfully gave his blessing, and the royal wedding was announced. A celebration unlike any other followed. The palace sparkled with lanterns and laughter as music filled the air. Aladdin and Princess Jasmine were wed beneath silken canopies, surrounded by nobles and commoners alike. Days of feasting and joy followed, and the couple settled into a blissful life, loved by all who beheld them. But far across the desert, in a shadowed land, the jealous sorcerer who had once tricked Aladdin heard rumors of a magical palace and a young prince beloved by the Sultan. At once, he knew the lamp had been found and stolen from him. Furious and filled with envy, the sorcerer vowed revenge. Disguising himself as a peddler of rare wares, he journeyed to the palace with a bag full of shiny new lamps. Arriving while Aladdin was away hunting, he cried through the streets, "New lamps for old! New lamps for old!" Intrigued, Princess Jasmine, unaware of the lamp's power, offered the old, dusty one in exchange for a new, polished vessel. The sorcerer's eyes gleamed as he took back the magical lamp. That night, the sorcerer summoned the genie once more. With a wicked grin, he gave his first command, take Aladdin's palace and the princess to the ends of the earth. And, just like that, all vanished. Under the cloak of darkness, the wicked sorcerer used the stolen lamp to summon the mighty Genie, commanding him to uproot the palace and carry it far away. Jasmine was taken with it, a prisoner in her own home. The people awoke to find the palace gone, and so was Princess Jasmine. When Aladdin returned and found only dust where the palace once stood, his heart sank. The lamp was missing. But all was not lost. He remembered the magic ring. Slipping it on, he called upon the ring genie, who appeared in a swirl of gold and smoke. "Take me to Jasmine," Aladdin commanded. In the blink of an eye, Aladdin stood before the stolen palace, hidden in the mountains. The sorcerer, smug and powerful, believed himself untouchable. But Aladdin, brave and clever, disguised himself as a peddler and snuck inside. He offered the sorcerer a new magic lamp, brighter and shinier than the old one. Greedy and foolish, the sorcerer handed over the real lamp without a second thought. With the true lamp back in his hands, Aladdin summoned the genie once more. "Free yourself, great genie," he said. "No one should be bound." The genie, touched by Aladdin's kindness, banished the sorcerer and returned the palace to its rightful place. Jasmine ran into Aladdin's arms. In time, Aladdin became a wise and just prince, ruling with Jasmine at his side. The lamp, now powerless, was placed in the palace as a reminder that true magic lies in courage and love, not wishes. And from that day on, Aladdin, his mother, and Princess Jasmine lived happily ever after, with magic, kindness, and love lighting their days.